Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be building something which I haven't built before, which is a Canadian tank. This is the 1/35th scale Ram Mk.II from Bronco. It's a tank which was built on the M3 Lee chassis, as you can probably tell from the artwork here. Production started in November 1941, but by March 1942 production was moved mainly to the Sherman, and as a result the Ram was never used in combat but was used in training, primarily in the UK. Luckily there are a number of archive photos of the Ram, and I'm fairly sure these are original colour photos rather than recoloured images, so I can use those as a good reference source. The instructions have two marking and colour options. The first is green G3 for a unit based in Britain in 1942, and another in what's described as khaki brown, which is also a UK based training unit. And you can see the decals here for those two options, and they look very nicely printed. So starting the build, the hull is constructed from multiple components, and although the instructions say that you should wait, I added the front and the back at this step to make sure that everything lined up properly. I really like the way that these side hatches, plus all of the top hatches, the driver's vision hatch, etc. are all posable, either opened or closed. It gives you lots of nice options. And there is actually an option to put some sort of PE covering over these doors. I'm not quite sure what they're for. I haven't seen them in any of the reference photos, and so I decided to leave them off. So the fit of the top hull to the lower hull is very good. You just need to make sure that the front part goes under this lip and then snaps into place. Now, one thing that I did notice is that these suspension arms seem to be the wrong way up. The detail should be on the top side for both pieces, because that's how it attaches to the bogie. So either I mislabeled my pieces when I took them from the sprue, which is entirely possible, or the instructions are wrong and D23 and D25 don't actually go together. Either way, it's a fairly easy mistake to spot because there's only one combination of pieces which will go in and both have the detail on the top, so as long as you watch for that, it should be okay. And then when putting the assembly together, this front panel ensures that everything sits at the right angle. So one thing which surprised me is that there's no alignment pin on the drive sprocket pieces, so you have to be careful to ensure the teeth on both sides are aligned, otherwise the track won't fit properly later on. So here on the turret you'll see there's quite a lip between the upper and the lower halves. I don't want to sand that down because there's some nice steel texture there which I don't want to lose. But if we look at some of the reference photos, we can see there's a weld seam there. So I tried to replicate that using some Tamiya two-part epoxy and just hide the seam that way. Okay, now onto the track. The tracks in this model kit have more parts than the entire rest of the kit. Each link has two pieces, top and bottom, plus one connector element each side, plus two guide horns. And there are 84 links per side, so it does take quite a lot of time to make them. The good news is that if you glue carefully, then the tracks do still sort of work, as you can see here. This is the tracks before the guide horns are added, and you can see they bend around the wheels nice and easily. And here you can see the tracks with the guide horns added, and everything is painted in XF1 flat black. I will add some rubber black to the pads later on and obviously weather the tracks as well. So for the paint schemes, I really like the khaki brown colour, which I think should be SCC2 brown, mainly because I'm a little bit bored of painting green tanks. However, for some reason, I really like the markings on the green version here compared to the brown version. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to paint it brown, but I'm going to use the markings I like. Historically accurate? Probably not, but then real tanks aren't made of plastic either. So for the SCC2 brown colour, I use Mike Starmer's mix, which you can see on the screen now. When I first sprayed this came out absolutely horribly. It was a really bright orange colour, so bad that I almost stopped and reprimed the model. But I'm really glad I didn't, because actually as it dried, the hue changed and it settled down to this really kind of nice brown colour, which I'm really happy with. Now I know some people prefer to add tools later, but personally I like to add them now and get a good bond between the plastic parts, and then just paint them once they're on the model. So after a gloss coat, I added the decals, and they went down really well with a coat of Mark.II. Even though the steel turret is heavily textured, they went down very nicely. The instructions don't make it super clear, but on the front there should be a set of unit markings behind the headlights, basically the same as the one on the rear. And then I added a little bit of XF52, which is flat earth, as a kind of highlight / chipping colour to certain areas of the model. And for the raised detail and the recesses, I just used some of Tamiya's black panel liner. A little bit of metallic grey on the tools to add some interest. And some dark brown with a little bit of black oil paint to represent some spilt fuel or oil. So in the future I will be adding some dried mud and dust to the tank, but for now I decided to keep it pretty clean. Before I show you the final results, if you like this video then please do consider clicking the thumbs up icon down below, it really does help. And here is the final result. Overall this was an excellent kit to build. The fit was really good, there was a good number of parts, the detail was excellent, and it's a slightly less common subject and a slightly less common paint scheme as well, which is really nice to see. I feel like I might need to do a little bit more British early war armour and vehicles. Okay guys, so thank you very much for watching. I will see you with another video soon.